All right, good morning, everybody. It is Monday and it's Veterans Day today, so we have no mail today. We are Resell Revenue Facebook group. If you'd like to join us, I really appreciate all the good feedbacks we've had about videos lately, and it's free until January. Tonight is the second boot camp, and tonight we're going to talk about how to price your items for eBay. So if you could, it'll be 6 o'clock Central Time. Check the event tab in our Facebook group and you can get in through that. So it'll say register and then it'll immediately tell you how to join because it's in a private meeting. So, all right, and looking forward to that this evening. So today we're going to talk about the process of going back and fixing pricing if we have an issue. We've talked about pricing a lot lately, and it's, super important in our business, super important on eBay. We also have to remember what eBay is, and for the most part, in most niches, it's not a high-end boutique. It's more of a fancy garage sale. So we can't try to make eBay into something it's not. And unfortunately, sometimes that means we've got to budge on our price just a little bit. So I always try to practice what I preach, and I try to go and test my own theories on things in my store before I mess with or tell you guys things. And when I go back and I sort my listings, the stuff that's been there for a long time, and nothing's been in my store for over a year because I take it out. But even up to that year, the harsh reality is, I was like, maybe my pricing was off, maybe my pictures were off, maybe my titles were off. So I sorted it all getting ready for this call. And the harsh reality is the stuff that's still sitting there that's 9, 10, 11 months old is stuff I wouldn't list today. So we're all different sellers in increments for sure. We all go through, we learn hopefully every 3 to 6 months. We're a totally different seller than we used to be because we know more. We have better metrics. We're doing better things. We're picking up better items. And in all reality, that's what's wrong with the stuff that's older in my store. I don't even know that price is going to fix some of it. So then I have to make that decision. Do I just take it out? Oh, and before I forget, sorry, great pause. Kevin had a question about vacation time. I didn't want to miss you, Kevin. You put it in the chat right away and I totally spaced off. So best practice for vacation time was his question. He's going on vacation. So I always put mine on vacation mode 4 days ahead of time before I leave because people have 4 days to pay. So if you have unpaid items in your store, they buy something today, they have 4 days to pay. And if I'm on vacation when they decide to pay, that's a problem. So they also, their offers are out for 96 hours. So we have to allot for the fact that if you sent an offer out 94 hours ago, they still have 2 hours to take it. And then they have 4 days to pay. So that was my kind of conundrum on my vacation was, gosh, like you're looking at a week. Like if you figure in the offer being out there plus the 4 days to pay, you're looking at your vacation, your store being on vacation a week before you go on vacation. So I kind of, because Rowdy was at my house while I was gone, I just did the 4 days still. And I just kept an eye on it the first 2 days I was on vacation because I knew I could call Rowdy and say, hey, this or this, they happen to take an offer, please mail it for me. So, but if I hadn't had Rowdy here, I probably wouldn't have taken that chance because those late shipments add up quick and then you get put in eBay jail and then that's a problem. So as soon as your store is on vacation mode, you can absolutely send and accept offers when it's on vacation mode. So the minute you're on vacation mode, don't be afraid to send out offers. I always leave mine to accept sales while I'm gone. That is completely up to you. If you want to pause sales while you're gone, that's fine too. Just know your store is going to, probably crash and burn while you're gone, but it does pop right back up when you get back and start doing the things you're supposed to do. So that's up to you if you want to take sales or not. Give yourself at least an extra day on the end of your vacation time in case you end up with 100 and some items to ship. Nothing's better than coming back from vacation and having 100 items due to ship the next morning, right? Doesn't that sound fun? I mean, it's super exciting. I didn't think it was very fun, and I did it. I think I had 120 some packages. It wasn't great. So I should have left myself an extra day. But I got greedy and I took it off vacation mode on my way home. So
I don't know why.
I would do.
Okay, well, I already failed because it's not in vacation mode yet, and I'm leaving on Wednesday. So,
well, you're really close. So if you do it right this minute, and I always do the message that goes out to buyers.
All right,
On
okay.
a message. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll do it now. I mean, if I have almost 1,100 sales in my 90 days. So if I get a couple of dings, it's gonna take at least a dozen to get me into trouble. So
Well, it depends. I don't know how long you're going to be gone, but there's also the fact that if people see you not shipping for a week, they're going to open a case against you,
mm,
which is different than just a late shipment.
uh,
You can always reach out to people. So like
well,
the day before or the whole days leading up for me leaving, I say, hey, I'm leaving on vacation on this day. Please pay before I leave so I can have your items shipped before I go. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes it doesn't. You hope people read your message, but sometimes they don't.
So my business policy is that they have to pay. Um, I don't let people just put stuff in their shopping cart. They have to pay for it if they want it. I'm not in the layaway business. Does that factor in as well?
Now that's a personal decision. I just don't do that because I think it really hinders people wanting to buy more than one item from my store. Because then
yeah,
they're
and then
paying
if you're
every
doing
time.
that too, you need to select the pay immediately on your thing because I think eBay's policies will overrule your policies.
They will. As long as you
I
have
mean,
that checked with eBay, you're fine. But if you don't, then that doesn't work. You
I
can have
only
all the
have
business
about.
policies you want, but yeah, eBay's
I think
policies
being a
will
jewelry
overrule.
seller. I mean, as a jewelry seller, how many of your purchases are multi-quantity?
I
Probably
have
pretty
a few
often.
every day.
Yeah, okay. See, I might have maybe one or two per week with it being clothing. So,
But maybe you would
I,
maybe you would have double that if you didn't make them pay right away.
they always reach out to me and say, "Hey, can we get a discount for shipping?" I always say yes. And I just tell them I'll send to you the discount in the form of a refund.
Yeah, you're just always gonna have those people that are like, well, screw him, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? Like that's just I go that extra mile. It's totally up to you what you want to do with that. I will say I hardly ever have to cancel for non-payment. I don't know if I just
Yeah,
get lucky or what. I hardly ever have that issue.
damn.
I,
Exactly.
I I'm just scratching my head on some of this stuff. The way they, you know, the way eBay does it is like, they're not. How am I looking at this? You can tell the people that put these parameters in place are they're obviously not sellers, they're engineers and software people, but um, they want you to, mark stuff down 50% so you'll sell it. They're concerned about making their cut, but yet they'll allow somebody to put something in a shopping cart and basically not pay for it for a week when somebody else could have already bought it and already had it delivered. I don't know. That's just the way I look at things.
I actually encourage people to build that. It's just to clarify, I know exactly what Devin's talking about, but for anybody that's new may not understand, they could put all they want in their shopping cart. He's talking about actually purchasing an item because you could have 100 things in somebody's shopping cart today and you would not know it as a seller. But as far they have to actually make the purchase for it to matter. But I know what you're talking about. Um, I actually encourage it. Like I love when people are just like shopping all week at my store and they're like, "Oh, I want that. I want that. I want that." And they buy it. And then at the end of the week they settle up with me. I don't mind being in the layaway business because people on layaway make more purchases.
Right.
That's a fact. People
Right.
like to
Well, I like again, I think also it's the category dependent too. I mean, obviously, being you're in the accessories and jewelry,
to some it probably is.
and
I mean,
I'm
I
not.
agree that I get more of it than you do probably. But I also like I'm a really boring woman shopper. So I would much prefer to just like if I could go into your store and you have a bunch in my size, I'd much rather just shop at your store than have to shop and get from 10 different people. So I think, it's how we cater, and I make sure I push that on people. Like when I'm on vacation, my vacation message actually says, please shop all week and then settle up with me when I get back because I want you to shop all week and then you can get free shipping because I offer free shipping over 50 bucks orders. So I'm like, please shop all week. And I had like huge multi-quantity orders when I got back. So it's category dependent, but I think also there are some really successful clothing people that do a lot of multi-quantity orders. So
Right.
yeah, Kevin.
You should, you guys should have this in mind. If you're in a position where you're not getting multi-quantity orders, you're probably not niche down enough, and you probably should consider if you should be a lot more specific on your stuff because the way you're going to make a lot of money is getting someone to come in the store and buy a lot of stuff. I probably have a dozen people that buy at least 5 to 6 things at a time from me. And when they start buying, I start reaching out saying, I have a lot more of this. So I have discounts here. Um, Devin, you may not be niche down enough, man.
90% of my store is men's clothing.
Then maybe you're really missing out by not offering, letting people do these multi-quantity things, you know? I mean, it's possible because like men are really boring shoppers too. Like I feel like I shop like a guy. Like if a guy can go in and buy like his full wardrobe from you and not have to go look at a million other stores, I don't know how to do that. Like something to think about. I recommend that we if you end up with a lot of non-payers, I think, you know, for one, it's just part of the game. So when I have to cancel or when people cancel their order, it's annoying, but I don't even think twice about it. I'm like, okay, relist, we're great. It's just part of the business, part of the game. If I have to cancel a non-payer, so what? Like a free listing that day goes back up, no big deal. Just part of business, roll on. But I think when we give people the opportunity to give us more business, sometimes that allows us to get more business. We just have to give them the opportunity to give us more business. So just my opinion. That's right, Kimmery. We have to make things the easiest and best for our customers, and having to send us a message and asking us for discounts is not the easiest way. So it's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just I do get tons of multi-quantity orders every day. So
I wouldn't even know where to even is it in your business policies, or where is that even located if I wanted to consider that?
Yep, you just take off your immediate pay. Do you think this applies much to those that provide free shipping? Probably more, Jake, because people aren't even thinking about it, right? And plus it'd be better for you because you have to pay for the shipping, and so then you got to go back and combine it, and I don't know. So I think it counts just as much for people with free shipping. Because I offer free shipping over 50 bucks, and you wouldn't believe the people that you could tell they just added a $20 item in because they wanted their free shipping. I had somebody, the order came up to 47 bucks their day, and they're like, oh, do I get free shipping? I said, it's no over 50. So they went and bought another $20 item. You know, and that's why a lot of my stuff's 40. That's why a lot of my stuff's $49.99.
How long ago how long did that policy take to start working for you? The reason I ask is for September, my September promo, I did what you do, which is I did it for 1 month to, you know, anything over 50 bucks. Maybe it's because I don't have automatic combine, you know, maybe because maybe because I have demand payment on purchase, maybe it's why it didn't work, but I also only I had one sale for the entire thing.
It happened immediately for me. It definitely was. That was one of the only things I can see on eBay that worked immediately. That definitely has helped. But you have to make sure that you check those 2 boxes in your shipping policy that say, go ahead and override with my shipping promotion. Otherwise, it will not do it for you, and that's a real pain in the butt. And that took me like a couple weeks to figure out that, like, why isn't it combining for me correctly? And it was because I didn't have that box checked, so it was my fault. Because maybe if you have immediate pay on,
screenshot of that, because I mean I'm about to pull in the office here, and I won't be able to see this until I get home tonight.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you have immediate pay on, because then it'll just be making people pay immediately and it won't combine for them.
I'm just looking to do everything I possibly can because I'm trying my hardest to hit the 25,000 mark on the 90 days before the end of the year, and really we only really have to about the middle of December, because you know the closer you get to Christmas, it almost becomes impossible to sell anything. It's not impossible, but you know, for somebody just want to receive something they want to wear for either a party or give as a gift, you know, and still have that window for it to arrive before, at least by Christmas Eve.
Yep, for sure. And I also been sending out newsletters that say, you know, I said this last week, but you know, hey, don't forget to tell your significant other what you want from my store for Christmas, or ask for an eBay gift card so you can come back and buy this new jewelry I'm putting up. And I get responses on that. I'll, you know, if somebody send me a message and be like, oh, that was a great idea, and here's, you know, or they'll message me their list, and then like a username I've never heard before will be like, so my wife said she told you what she wanted, you know, blah blah blah. So if we can make ourselves the Christmas destination, because my store doesn't get a big spike for Q4. Mine gets mine's pretty flat all year round as far as that goes. But if I can get those little extra sales, I have to remind them, hey, come buy my jewelry for Christmas presents. I also put a newsletter in last week that said, there's lots of under $20 items. It's perfect for Secret Santa in the office. You know, just like give them those ideas, make them think about it. Yeah, I'm getting ready to share my screen anyway, Kevin, because we didn't do our Monday metrics this morning. morning, so we better do it. And I've got one Monday metric that's in my pain in my butt right now, this guy. So I figured I'd share it with everybody here. See if I can remember where. Right here, Kevin, it's under your store tab. And then it's the very last thing on the bottom is time away.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. All right, Monday metrics, guys. So I got away from myself this morning and didn't do it. So let's very first thing, go down to the left-hand side here under your orders tab, be in your orders tab, go down to requests and disputes. I have what I've been working on. This, so this is one of these things that's going to happen to everybody. I guarantee you at least once. My guess is we're a freight forwarder and, you know, they say they haven't got their item. You know, haven't got it. Maybe somebody took it. Maybe somebody sent it back to you. I asked the storehouse who's collecting all my packages. You know, obviously I think we're a freight forwarder. But if I go under here, and of course it's a $300 order. It can't happen on like 20 bucks or anything.
I was just gonna say that.
Like early guys. However, it shows delivered. So I will be nice and I'm trying to be helpful, but this falls under, it's really not my problem anymore. And you're a freight forwarder and somebody picked up your item. So right here, it says delivered to agent picked up at USPS. This is not my fault. This is not my problem. Somebody picked it up. I've given them all the information they've asked for. I did my part. eBay will side with me in this and I'll get to keep my $300. eBay may refund them, maybe, but they won't take it out of my account. And very rarely do I speak in definites with eBay, but when it shows delivered, you're good. So if they would happen to send it back, I may, if I would get it back, but I don't think I'm going to get it back. It shows delivered. Somebody picked it up. So I'm going to be fine. So, all right. So there's your requests and disputes. If you have anything in this box, even if you're like, it says, you know, update tracking and it's still moving and it's like, well, eBay has a tracking. You have to go update the tracking, even though it's eBay's tracking. They know the tracking. You have to go in and manually do that or you'll get dinged. And you do not, this is where when I say you do not want any cases closed without seller resolution, that's where they stem from is right here. And you don't want them. It's not good. Plus they can like, I don't know, I look at it like a fine of like 20 bucks when things like that happen. So here, make sure you're checking these things. I've already responded to it. There's nothing more I can do about it. But make sure you're paying attention. Let's go to our wonderful returns tab. As you get to the Christmas season, we are going to see more returns depending on what category you're in. You're going to get those people that you're pretty sure rented your item and they sent it back. You know why? Because they did. And we're in the eBay business. We have our free returns in place. It's going to happen. Don't let it get to you. You relist, get the item back to the same condition it was in, relist, you move on. Don't let it get to you. I literally have people in the return reason say my party's over, I wore it, thanks, I'm sending it back. It's part of the business, part of the game. You know what? It didn't hurt anything, just move on. You know, it's very, for lack of better words, it's very irritating to me when I see sellers get really mad about things like that. It's like, it's eBay, guys. Part of the deal. Just move on. It's fine. Don't let it get to you. That's part of the emotion not getting to you thing. So no returns for those of you that were with me the last several months. It's very refreshing that my returns is all cleared out. I don't know what happened to me for a while. I had a big run of them, but everything's been good lately. So hopefully it continues. So returns, make sure you're taking care of them. Make sure that you're doing your part. I would not wait very long to issue refunds when you get your returns back. I feel like it screws with your traffic when they're waiting on you. And then we all are human and we could forget, and you don't want to forget. So make sure we're taking care of our returns. Then we want to go under performance. Go clear down to the bottom, go to service metrics. This has to do with your returns. So even though my returns have been good lately, I'm going to suffer with my bad return month for like 3 months. And that's just part of the deal, right? So this is the current rate. It's done and over with. There's nothing we can do about the current rate. It's just, it is what it is. But I like to look at the projected rate. So that's through the end of October, which of course has already happened too, but they haven't finalized it. It's fine. You know, I'm not that far off. I'm not very high. It'll be fine. Like 1.04. If I can get this down under 1%, they're going to readjust me to average every time anyway. So we'll be okay. And I think that one won't count anyway because it was like a buyer's remorse return. So we're all good there. Everything's fine. Yes, I'm in the high, but there's nothing I can do about it at the moment. So just hope it'll all even out. But knowing where you're at is the most important thing. Now go to our performance and go to seller level. This is very important. Very, very important. So they check us on the 20th of every month is when they reevaluate if you're on the monthly cycle here. So, which I think they reevaluate everybody on the monthly anyway, but it's on the 20th. So right now we're getting pretty close, but there's still a little bit of time if we got to fix something. So past, top rated, we hope this all says top rated. That's what we're always hoping. We're hoping for all green, all top rated. Transaction defect rate. I want everybody in the group to always be able to say, perfect world, that we have a 0% transaction defect rate, because defects are not good for our account. Get too many of them, you won't have an account anymore. So make sure that this is 0 if at all possible. If it's not 0, why? Know why so we can fix it. Late shipments, we need to keep this under control. We have to have it under 3% to keep our top rated status. Here's where you can get the full report to know why you're getting things counted late. Cases closed without seller resolution. Talked about that earlier. We only get 0.3% or less and we lose our top rated. So we need to be really careful with those. Tracking and uploaded on time. Hopefully this is 100%, but you do have a little wiggle room in here. 95% or more is top rated. So you get a little bit more room in there. And that's just your transactions there. So hopefully you guys are all good on there. Does anybody have any issues with this? I know sometimes it becomes where it's like, oops, I checked and now I have a problem. Oh, and your feedback. Make sure you go back and check your feedback. It's a great time every Monday. Click that number by your store name and check your feedback. Make sure you don't have any negatives or any neutrals that you need to deal with. Everybody good? Anybody have any issues they want to talk about as far as that's concerned? All right, Thomas, you had a question?
First of all, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And I actually have 3 things if you're
Yes,
okay
shoot.
with that.
Sure.
First of all, the continuation of the drama with Scooby Dooby Doo.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I got the package back. Yeah. I got the package back and the guy sends me a new address. It took me forever to figure out how to print it off, get a new shipping label with the proper address on it. Because the original one came back no receptacle.
Mhm.
So that would have been his fault. But
Right.
he still wanted the package. So I finally figured that out. I had no way to figure out how to recoup on the new shipping through eBay. So I explained to him that, and I said, unless you want to pay me $507 through Cash App or something, I'll just eat the cost. Well, evidently he wanted it bad enough because he sent me $10 through Cash App. So it's been shipped again Saturday. So that's all said and done.
Good.
For now, anyway. I hopefully there's only one more update, and he's already left me positive feedback, so that's a plus.
Great.
Now,
Yep.
the other 2 things I have issues with, looking at my funds that are on hold, I've got one that when I follow the tracking, it's been sitting at the post office since like October 12th. The guys, it doesn't say anything after that on shipping. He's never left me any bad remarks or anything, or positive feedback for that matter either.
Your
But
post
that money
office
is
or
just
his?
his. And I don't know how to resolve that.
So does it show delivered?
Delivered to post office.
So is it green?
Ready for
I mean,
pickup.
yeah, I'd just leave it. Let sleeping dogs lie. That's in his court, not yours.
Well, how do I go about getting that money? Because it's on hold.
It'll time out.
And it'll give it to me?
It should. I don't know why it'd be on hold. Unless he did a case. You don't have any open
All
cases, right?
No, all my money's on hold until the customer receives the item. Until tracking says it's been delivered.
So it doesn't show delivered. It's not green.
No, it's delivered to their post office, and on tracking it says waiting to be picked up.
Okay. Yeah. You just wait it out. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay, my other one, I shipped 2 items in one box, and I didn't put a tracking number on the second item.
Okay.
Which I'm assuming I should have put the tracking for the other one on both items.
Yep.
That's 22 or 23 bucks that are stuck in limbo now as well. Now I have went back just 2 days ago and put that tracking number for the one that shows delivered on that package, but I don't know where to go from there.
Well, you can combine your shipping ahead of time, or like what you did is fine. But I'm not sure if we add a tracking number after the delivery status, if it updates correctly. If you see that it's still on hold, just contact eBay and say, hey, this is what happened. I didn't do it on time, and they should be able to push it through. Because I think that's a common thing that happens to people. I hear it a lot. But yes, you
Okay.
do need to add the tracking every time.
So just let eBay know that I shipped it in the same box as the other one.
Yep, and that you've currently updated tracking, but that you did it after the delivery status, and ask them to update it.
Okay.
Yep, looks like you're you know what my favorite thing, one of my favorite things to do, or that is about these groups, is seeing new people come in, and every week they ask like, or say like things that you can tell it means they're advancing. Like I can tell so much, like even in the last month, like your questions are all like where you're thinking it through and you're getting it right, and you know, like you're all on the right path. Like those things are great for me. I love that. So good job.
Thank you.
All right, Catherine.
I have a question. I got a neutral feedback. Excuse me. And the reason for the feedback was, he said, I'm giving this rating because the seller had best offer option and yet refused my offer. Plus, seller had a high shipping price, which I failed to see. So the overall price was high. He said he PM'd me, but I did not get an email from him through eBay. So I don't know how he messaged me asking if they could either accept or deny my offer. And they didn't respond. So I bought it at full price. Took a long time to ship, and the item arrived. It was clearly used. Could tell it was washed a lot. Material is worn out. And he said there were some holes or small tears. So a couple of things. There were no tears in it. It is a used item. It was stated as used. There was 2 small marks, and I pointed those out in the photos and the listing. And then he had the option to not buy the item at my price, but he bought it anyway, even though I didn't accept his offer. He had the option to return the item, because I messaged him and said, I'm more than happy to give you a full refund, blah, blah, blah. Nope, he didn't want to return it. He was going to give it to his son. And he bought it on a Friday afternoon at like 4 o'clock. I shipped it on Monday. And he got it within 5 days. So the shipping didn't take long. Obviously the shipping price was on there. So I kind of felt like, okay, so you're more upset with your choices because you bought it for the price that I offered it.
I'm kind of with Kimmery anymore.
What's
With
that?
neutrals, I just let it go. I don't worry about them.
Okay.
I don't lose sleep about them. Anybody that reads that is going to think exactly what you just said. Like he
Okay.
had the options. If you
Yeah.
want to argue that one, you'd probably win. Although eBay is really funny about neutrals. Neutrals
Yeah.
are, you know, negatives. There's a policy in place for negatives. Neutrals, they kind of are wishy-washy about, and they're like, it doesn't affect your rating.
Okay, that's what I
So
was going to ask, because my gut feeling is like, you're more upset with your own choices, and you're probably the kind of person that blames everybody else for stuff. So
personally, I would respond to it and say, I'm very sorry you're not happy with your item. per what I messaged you earlier, please feel free to still return the item for a full
I did.
refund because,
Yep, I did do that. And then I just left it.
and then do
But
remember that once we reply to a feedback, you're not going to get eBay to change it. So
okay,
once you reply to a feedback, you've written it in stone. For whatever reason, that's like eBay's dot at the end. If you've replied to the feedback, they're not touching it.
okay.
So if
So,
you ever want to fight something, you need to do it before you reply to it.
okay, good to know. Thank you.
But as a buyer, I'm
that's-
looking at that. I'm looking at that transaction. It's not bothering me at all to buy from you.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm sorry you're upset. Return the item.
Yep.
Okay.
I do 99.9% of my eBay stuff through my phone. Matter of fact, I've
Mhm.
only opened my laptop once in a year. I can't find where to leave any feedback other than positive.
Yeah, we can't leave buyers negative feedback.
Okay.
We don't
I
have that
wasn't
option.
sure.
They used to, and then stupid people ruined it for everybody. Like, they
Gotcha.
were like slandering each other and it was bad. So they took that away from us.
That's awful nice of them.
But just, yep, let it go. I have neutrals. I don't really worry about them so much. And if you reply back, hey, I'm willing to give your money back, please refund for a full, I mean, that's all you can do. And the buyer's not going to be turned off by that. So I won't worry about it. Back on our topic, since I got veered off here. Something that I thought through the process, because like I said, I always try to go through the process that I tell you guys about first with my store before I try to tell you guys to do something I wouldn't do myself type of thing. Because I'm here in the trenches with you all still. And I kind of try to look at it a thing as like each item has a bank. Each item has the bank of money that we possibly could profit from it. And every time we go backwards and we fix a photo, we fix a pricing, we fix our listing, we fix whatever we're talking about with it, we're taking out of that bank, right? So you go back, you fiddle with the title. You go back, you fiddle with the photo. You go back, you mess with the price. Every time you do that, you're taking your time. And our time is the only thing that matters in this, guys, because our time is worth money. And if we're just giving away our time, like, what are we doing? We could go clock in somewhere and be making money. So every time we have to go backwards into a listing, we're taking that chunk of money out. So if your
Right.
item was only going to ever profit 15, 20 bucks anyway, you go back, you have to mess with it, you take away $5. Because let's say you're everybody in here is worth at least 20 bucks an hour. Least. So every 15 minutes, we're looking at $5 at least minimum, right? Go back and mess with the title, take off $5. Now our maximum we could get back out of that off item profit is 15 bucks if it was going to be 20. We go back, we mess with the price. Bam, now it's down to 10. Go back again. Well, now we have, pretty soon we have no money left in the item because we messed with it over and over and over. And now it's not a profitable item anymore, right? So of course it's easier to say, do it right the first time. But trends change, prices change, things change. I get that. Sometimes we have to go back. But I feel like I see a real common thread of people fiddling with stuff a lot. They're going back messing with the prices. They're going back messing with their titles all the time. But I would love to have everybody keep in mind that every time we go back, anytime you're going backwards, you're taking a little piece of money from that item. So if we take too many pieces of our item, we don't have any money left in our item, and now we're negative every time we're messing with it. So then it's like we're down to like, we've had to lower the price because it wasn't a great item to begin with, and now we keep taking away from it. Now we're like 20 bucks in the negative because we're like trying to force the sale that's never going to happen. So when people ask me, and it's a very common thing they ask me is, where they say, well, I already did the work. I'm not taking it out of my store because I already did the work. Might as well let it sit. It might sell. Well, I guess that's okay if we're not going to go back and mess with it and keep taking money out of it. Because once we hit 0, every time you're messing with it, now you're in the negative. You're in the negative. And you're in the hole on this item because you put so much time into it that's never going to sell. Or maybe it will sell, but you're still going to be in the negative. So why are we doing this to lose money? Because I'm not. So we have to have some thought process in, because I have to change things. There's things I go back and I think, what was I doing? Like, that's not right. But I try not to do it a lot. And so do we put we only mess with things, our oldest things, but then what happens to me is if I sort from oldest to now, or like the things that are ending soonest, for my oldest items, a lot of them shouldn't be in my store anyway. And that's kind of what I ended up figuring out was I go back and the stuff that's still sitting in there that's, 9-10 months old, it's still in there because it wasn't any good. Sometimes there's an error in it, and that happens. That's gonna happen. We all are human, we're gonna make errors. Most of the time it's because it's just not a good item. If we have a markdown strategy in our store, we have an aged inventory markdown, your pricing errors are always gonna get caught, right? They're gonna get caught. That's in your process, that's in your business. Every, whatever amount of days they're in your store, they're gonna get knocked down another percent. So if you misprice your item, then it's gonna get taken care of somewhere along the way because it's in the aged inventory markdown. And most people I talk to have their item in their markdown within 2 to 4 weeks of the item being listed. I think that's probably a really good strategy because if it's going to sell at full price without it being a fluke, it usually happens in the first 2 to 4 weeks for sure. So when we, I know that mine get marked down every so many weeks, every 2 weeks, I have another, it comes down another percent, another set percent. So I know if I really shoot high, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't have real good comps because it's an older one of a kind item and I shoot high, I know at some point down the road that price is going to get knocked down to the proper price mark. And when they all of a sudden sell, then I know I hit the right price mark because things are only worth what people are wanting to pay for it that day. So how do we find the best process to evaluate clocking in? I kind of think that we're clocking into our item every time we touch it because we're clocking in on that time clock, taking money out of it. Is that, of course, do it right the first time, but sometimes we don't. So how often do we go back and are we looking? How often are we checking things? I feel like a lot of people are messing with a lot of things backwards when we need to be moving forward. I know people are like messing with their prices all the time. They're messing with their list titles all the time. They're messing with everything all the time. And I feel like we got to keep our hands off of that old stuff, except having it part of our process. Do we check everything when it hits the 3-month mark? Do we check everything when it hits 6 months? Do we check our listing? Do we have that in our process? Yeah, Catherine.
Regarding that, I spoke, I think it was like a week ago about how all my prices after my sale ended did not go back to the regular prices. And so if they end up, and they still haven't been fixed. So I suspect if I call again, they're going to tell me you're just going to have to fix them individually. Okay. So
Hey,
if I go to do that, would you just do a few at a time?
oh, I would fix them all. That happened to my whole store and I had to go fix it. There's a YouTube comment on one of my videos that was about your problem, and I think she's right. I think it was I think you need to go fix something. She was right and I hadn't thought about it. Actually, I'll pull it up because I think she was correct. And I hadn't thought of that issue. And we also have to remember when you call eBay, sometimes you get people that are always going to give you the same lip service. You can call 3 agents and they're all going to say, oh, it's a technical difficulty, blah, blah, blah. They don't look into it enough sometimes to say, hey, you need to take this setting off. Sometimes they just don't pay attention. Let me look at the YouTube comments because when I read that comment, I thought, I bet she's right.
So it's something in my settings, you think?
I think maybe when you did that, yeah, I have too many accounts on my thing here. So, yes. So it said, I was just listening while listing and I was wondering about the problem that Catherine had with the glitch and her prices not coming back. I don't want to assume anything. However, if you go into your seller hub under the marketing tab in the drop down box and choose discounts, under the graph, it will show all your sales and markdowns that you have run. And in that graph, it will show how many items were in the sale, markdown. And from there, you can click on the items that were in that sale and you can just bulk edit them down that 20% or whatever it was. So it's not saying this is your fault. This is saying an easier way to fix it. And I hadn't thought of that. So if you go into your sale, the ones that didn't come back, you should be able to just choose those items really easily under that tab and then bulk edit them back to whatever percent off it was.
Okay.
And that would be easy.
But you're not choosing them from the graph, are you?
You're choosing them from that sale price so that in that little tab, it'll have each sale. And if you click on it, it'll bring up just the items in that sale for that time.
I'm not seeing what that is. What
On your
little tab?
campaign, it's on your list of your discounts that you've had.
Okay, your discounts.
Yep, and there'll be some that are not active anymore. I'm
Yes,
assuming it's not active anymore, right?
right.
So you click on that. It's like whatever you titled that discount. You click on that, it'll bring up everything that was in there. It'll bring up all the items
Oh.
that were in there.
Yeah, I can't do that because I delete the sales that are done, which I am learning now I probably shouldn't do.
Oh, then I can't help you on that. I don't.
Yeah. Thank you. But I'll know for
I
next
thought it was helpful. Yeah.
Live and learn, live and learn.
Just so you know, you can sort them. That's what I do. So I just pick the active tab, and then I just see the active ones, and it hides all the ones that are done. So if you just pick to filter it by the active promotions or active discounts, then you don't have to look at all the because I don't like to look at the ones that have ended either. Like it's just messy to me. But I
Yeah.
just filter it by active all the time.
So if I go in and change all of those prices, then is the algorithm gonna go, oh, she's changing too many things? Because we were just talking about changing your pricing.
What for half a day? Like, I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd much
Okay.
rather want my prices back to where they need to be.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Now, here's something to think about. So it made your prices stay at a much lower price, right? So you're having like amazing amounts of sales.
No.
So think about that. So look at those items.
Yeah.
Why aren't they flying off your shelf when they're really, really cheap?
Yep.
Are the title's bad or the item's bad? What's happening there? So check that out while you're doing it. It'll force you to have to go look at those items anyway. And when I did this exercise while I was preparing for this, it took out like 100 items because I'm like, would I put these items in my store today? Nope.
Yep.
Why do I
I've
wanna
done that too.
And yes, I already did the work. Yes, it's already in the inventory. Yes, I did the pictures. And whose fault's that? Oh, that's my fault. It's my fault I put that time and effort in. But am I going to just leave a bad item in my store because, well, I already did the work. I already paid for that item and I already did the work. I don't want that crap in there. I don't want people looking at it and being like, oh, we're going to pay $14 for these beaded cluster earrings. That really should have been in a lot to begin with.
I also feel like if you have less crappy items in your store, eBay is more likely to push good buyers to your
And why
store
is
that
that?
like to
What's the
spend their
reasoning?
money.
Yeah, what's the reasoning behind that? Because your store is going to have a better sell-through rate.
Right. And then if I have
So-
crappy items, then it's like, oh, they're going to give me, I don't want to say crappy buyers, but they're going to give me buyers that like to get the best bargain, the lowest item,
Well, they're going to give you. So
low
it's not an
offers.
accident in the fact that when I come up on a real honey hole of sourcing and I shove a bunch of really good stuff in my store and I have these amazing sales, right? It's not on accident. It's because they're
Right.
really good items. And when you find in your niche, when you all of a sudden find a honey hole of great items for whatever reason it is or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you start getting these sales, right? You got to, and they don't even have to be high dollar. They're good items that sell quickly. It makes you go, that's what an eBay store is supposed to feel like.
Right. So I don't have a problem at all pulling bad items. And I think I said last week too, this is kind of my inventory time. So as I pull a bin, a numerical order and go through, I'm like, would I put this back in this bin? No. Out it goes.
Yep, I'm just putting them in my lots and now if there's a good item that hasn't sold in like 9-10 months or whatever, and I'm happen to see it, I do ask myself why, and it's a good item. Lots of times I'll still pull it out and I just put it back in my inventory queue and I treat it like a brand new item because for whatever reason, whatever I did the first time isn't working, and I just, even if there's not an error in it, there's something wrong. But most of the time, I'll tell you guys, you guys know when something hits a year, I take it out, right? I very rarely find a good item in there. It's usually
And when
stuff I
you
shouldn't have
do
listed.
and you relist it, or you maybe even tweak the title or rearrange the words or something, for me, it often sells right away, like within a
And
couple of
sometimes it
weeks.
will. Yeah, if it's a good item.
If it's a
Those
good
bad
item. Yeah.
items, I also feel like bad items are like a big weight on our store because it's a sell-through rate issue. If you have a bunch of stuff that you're just hanging on to because I did the work, and then I hear I have the space. So we have the space to have a bunch of crap in our store. Well, that's dangerous. Like who wants, then why do we want to keep a bunch of bad items? Because your customers are seeing the same stuff in there all the time. So if you have a really loyal customer that's been your customer for 2 years, and they're probably like, wow, that same stuff's still sitting there, right? It's like, who wants that? We got to rotate our racks just like the store. So when I take those items out, rarely is it a good item in there. It's usually stuff I shouldn't have listed at the year mark. I'm like looking at it like, what was I doing? And then you know what? You just kind of glance at them and you go, I need to remember not to list these things on their own anymore. Because like we all learn. I mean, I'm not the same seller I was a year ago. But and sometimes we can't find just out of the ballpark, all the time items. But it doesn't give us an excuse to put stuff that we shouldn't be putting in there. And I have to remember that because lots of times I fall in that really bad cycle of, well, I bought it, it was in a lot, it's worth, I could list it for 20 bucks, even though it probably shouldn't be listed for over 12 or 15 because I shoved that price on it. And then I'm gonna sit on it and I have the space and it's okay. Like we gotta quit making excuses for bad things or not good enough things. Maybe it's good enough for somebody else, but that doesn't mean it's good enough for us. So Devin, what you got?
I was going to ask if you could. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was unmuted when I was trying to. All my
you're fine.
sensors were going off in the car. Can you throw either DM me or throw a link up in the group, not in the chat here, but in the Facebook group, of the link to that video that you were talking about, that comment of fixing the sales issue? Because I've ran into that. Because I've ran into that in the past, and I also just started a new markdown sale last night. It's going to run for a few weeks.
Yeah, it was on my eBay sourcing tips video on YouTube.
Is that in Patreon though?
It's on YouTube or Patreon. Be on both.
I guess I'm not following you on YouTube.
Well, that would be your fault, Devin. Like, what's wrong with you? That's not a good thing. The other thing with the pricing is sometimes I feel like you'll run into patterns when you go back and look at your items. And like I said, we don't want to fall in the trap of continuously. And when people are like, well, I keep messing with that price, trying to force the sale. Messing with it. Like, I don't know. I just don't love that. So have a process in place with the age inventory markdowns, and we're not fiddling with things anymore. And then that gives us more time to list new better items. But I feel like you'll find pockets pricing, right? So I've said this before in the group. I don't know what happened to me last March, but I think I thought my stuff was better than it was for like a month. Or I think what had happened is I fell into that trap of I'm going to price it high so I can take offers. I think I got on that bandwagon. And you know what happened is because I had things month, like every month has a bin. I was like, why is my March bin so full and my April's almost gone? Like, what is going on? And then I look back and I'm like, what is happening? And even though it had gone through the aged inventory markdowns, it was still way too high for what it was. And I had fallen into that, oh, well, I have to make room for markdowns. I have to make room for sales. And I'd overpriced my items for like the whole dang month. So sometimes we get into different mindsets depending on what is going on in our reselling world. And when we hit those mindsets, it can either be emotional or it can be, maybe I was broke that month and I was like, wow, I got to price some stuff up because I'm giving my stuff away and I need money. Right. So I probably let some emotion in. Maybe I was taking a bunch of lowball offers and I was sick of it. And I priced my stuff up and that March bin was overflowing still. And my April and May were almost gone. And then as soon as I fixed it to like reality, the best price, best items, it went right back down. So, sometimes we get into a bougie mindset where our stuff's worth more than our maybe, well, they only sold it for $9, but that's ridiculous because I only sell things for 17 or 18. Well, it was probably a $9 item. So that wasn't very smart of me when I was doing that. And as soon as I changed it and it was fine. So we need to kind of see those patterns because we all get into like where we jump on a bandwagon of like, oh, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that. And then sometimes things don't work and we forget that it happened. So I struggle with this because I have, that time is better spent moving forward than moving back. However, I would think about putting something in your metrics. Maybe do it when you do your inventory. That'd be a great time to say, I only look back because I trust that I'm doing a better job now. I only look back when I'm doing my inventory. And when you do your inventory, check those prices, check those titles, check the pictures, and reevaluate if it should even be in there when you do your inventory. That would be a great time to do that. But I think if we can get a more hands-off approach, like not thinking about the past so much and moving forward, I think you'll do better in general. And yeah, just make yourself a metric with that. I think that's a good thing. Quit messing with stuff. And if it's bad, let it go. Because we're affecting our whole store sell-through rate. So that's what I had today. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on that? Do you have a process? I think my process is going to be I'm going to only mess with it when I'm doing inventory. And maybe that'll also push me to do inventory on a more timely basis when I'm like, well, I cannot go back and be messing with stuff. Larry's got his reseller repair shop today, and the topic is common failure modes and common fixes and how things break and fixing them. If you haven't seen Larry's repair workshop, it's really good. Go on Patreon and under the collections, go under his reseller repair workshop, and you can see all of them. They're really good. And I have my
I'll-
second. Yes.
Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was just going to say I have my second interview with Audrey tomorrow. So I will be releasing that to see what she learned from the first boot camp, and then what she learned from tonight, and then some things she's been implementing, and we'll get her base numbers and everything to share with everybody.
Is there a link set up for the first episode from last week?
Nope, got to come to the boot camp to get the information from the boot camp. So otherwise, nobody come to the following ones. I have everybody just watch the same one on repeat. So yes, Suzanne.
I was just going to ask Larry when he's going to do a repair on jewelry. He does such a good repair on everything else that I'd like to see him start repairing some jewelry, clip earrings and gluing the stones in. I know you can have some good ideas, Larry.
Yeah, I could if I had some examples. I'm not really set up to do that sort of thing. Gluing, sure, but the brazing process.
Not me. I look like I don't know, one of those memes where you like get the sticky stuff all over yourself and you have strings going everywhere. That's me trying to glue a rhinestone, which is why I don't do it.
Yeah, that's
It's
why
like a
Super glue
spider
and a
web
toothpick.
mess.
Super glue and a toothpick, man. That's
Oh, I'm a mess. Yeah, soldering jewelry would be. He did a soldering one already, but I think you said the soldering for jewelry took a different tool or a different thing
yeah,
that you had.
it's a different process, and in general, it's not called soldering, it's brazing, which is basically the same thing, but use a flame instead of a heat on iron, for lack of a better word. And I don't have any of that equipment anymore. I haven't done that
We
process.
need to find
since I
somebody,
was-
Lynn, that could come talk to us about that maybe on the jewelry call,
Yeah.
because it is a really good, like,
Yeah.
I don't repair things, it's not my thing, but people that enjoy it and people that are good at it, there's lots of good value that can be had from that. It's just whether you, like, I hate fixing things. I'm not an artist. I'm not, crafty, but some people are, and some people do a great job with it. So some people
don't
really
wanna-
like it.
I was going to say, I don't want to fix it for things to sell because I would just sell it like it is, like you say.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
would just like to be able to fix some things that I like myself. And I'm sort
Yeah.
of scared to do it because I don't want to damage the piece.
Well,
So
and
I
That's
can,
where your a good relationship with your local jeweler comes in, because
Mhm.
their dollar per hour is amazingly low for what they
are.
do.
you're right. I take them over there and they're great doing it. There's just
Yeah.
some things I just feel like I know I could probably do something simple and I don't.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's taking the time to do it, but they do a great job.
My final thought on this is that's something too that we're gonna do a flaws call here one of these days. But anytime that you're going back and messing with a flaw, whether it's jewelry or clothing or whatever it is, you're also taking out of that bank of that item.
Yep.
So make sure that every 15 minutes we're soaking into that. Whether we're gluing a rhinestone, we're soldering something, we're working on a stain, we're cleaning shoes, we're doing whatever it is, you're taking that out of that bank of that money. So it's fine, because some things are really worth it. Some things are worth putting that time and effort into for sure. If they're not, we have to know when to walk away from the item and sell it as is,
Yep.
or junk it.
Hey,
Some
I
people
have
put a lot of
two.
time. Yeah,
Is Russell still in here, or is he in here?
I haven't seen Russell this morning. I haven't heard, oh yeah, well, his PC's
just
on,
popped
but that
in.
doesn't mean he is.
Right. He was talking about going over my screenshots that I shared yesterday. In
Yeah,
the
he'll
group,
probably pop
'cause
in. I haven't
Yeah,
checked
because I don't
myself.
understand any of those. And my next thing is for Suzanne Lambert. You related to Michael and Sylvia by any chance?
Not that I know of, but
Okay. I was just curious. They're friends of mine over on the south side of Indianapolis.
I did reply to you, Tom, there's Russell and he'll help you, but I did reply like with my charts, with my traffic charts. So while your numbers are a lot smaller, your numbers are moving in the right direction, right? So I had like 17 million traffic views or whatever, right? But mine
Yeah,
are
I've seen
down.
that.
Mine are down from my vacation. So to me, yours are doing great because yours are moving in the right direction. So you can only compete with yourself on views. Like mine doesn't mean anything compared to yours. And yours doesn't mean anything to mine. It just matters if you're tracking in the right direction. That's my opinion on those things. Is you're competing against yourself, not, not worried about what everybody else is doing on that.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't even understand what some of those are, like impressions. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's what Russell's for, and he'll be happy to help you. I got to go to my other call because I'm late already. So
Right.
have a great day, guys.